question was, why do people feel good eating a meat-based diet? Okay, there has been a shocking trend lately of people adopting a meat-based diet. Some people are eating only meat. They say they feel better, they have more energy, etc. And the question is, why is that? What's going on there? And so I'm just thinking about how best to approach this for you. Okay, let's go back to something we were talking about yesterday or the day before, perhaps, which is the simple idea that symptoms are evidence the body is cleansing or healing. Cleansing and healing don't feel very good when the body's toxic. Okay? So when the body's toxic and you're cleansing and healing, you can feel better by shutting off the processes of cleansing and healing. How do you do that? Eat a bunch of toxic stuff so your body can no longer effectively detoxify. Couple that with the fact that excess protein acts as a stimulant in the body, so people feel energized. Okay? I mean, be absolutely clear, and feel free to go do the research if you want, because the science is really clear. The more animal products you eat, the faster you age and die. The higher your rates of cancer, heart disease, dementia, GI tract problems. And these people are insane. And these are people who refuse to look at any information. They just believe what they want to believe. And they make the mistake of, so they start out, someone says, this is good for you, I feel much better, and they do it, and they feel better too. And they're misinterpreting what's happening, right? They don't understand that. I mean, again, as I said the other day, you want to feel better, like right now, we can get you some heroin. The objective is not to feel better instantly. The objective is to allow your body to cleanse and heal so you function at an amazingly high level on an ongoing basis. These people are destroying their bodies. Okay? And I mean, again, let's just look at some simple facts. Every species has digestive physiology specifically adapted to a particular diet. Their species-specific diet, okay? In fact, I'm not sure, with some of you haven't heard this yet. So when we talk about nutrition, we're talking about two things. We're talking about macronutrients, proteins, carbohydrates, fats. We're talking about micronutrients, vitamins, minerals, enzymes, phytonutrients, etc. Phytonutrients means plant nutrients, so that encompasses all the rest. Okay? Every species needs pretty much all the same stuff. There are a few exceptions. For instance, we must consume vitamin C, right? Or we developed a deficiency condition called scurvy. Our bodies must have vitamin C. Why is that? Well, we're intended to be eating fresh plants, which are all high in vitamin C. That's what our bodies are made to eat. So we don't need to make vitamin C. Rats' bodies can make vitamin C because they may not get any fresh food. They don't need to have it. We do. Other animals that don't need to eat fresh food, like carnivores, don't need to eat vitamin C. Okay? But basically all the needs are the same. What differentiates what a species can get from the diet isn't what's in the diet, because all the diets have pretty much the same stuff. It depends on the digestive physiology. So cows and sheep and goats need the same things that we do, and they can get all their needs met by eating grass. Anybody think we would do well eating nothing but grass? First of all, like a cow, you'd have to eat pretty much all the time, because grass contains roughly 25% as many calories as the average fruit. So you're consuming something that has almost no calories, you'd be eating all day long, okay? Cows, sheep, and goats have 4 stomachs. And they're populated by colonies of bacteria that are specialized to break down that high cellulose content. We don't share those physiological adaptations. That's their diet. Our system is set up for our diet. Our systems, by the way, well, let's look at other species. Okay, carnivores. Okay, let's say that this table is a 500-pound tiger. Mouth to anus, 12 feet long. That's a little bit less than 4 meters. Okay? For the non-Americans here. 4 meters. Okay? It's relatively straight, it's relatively smooth, and it's relatively short for the size of its body. Why? Because when you eat a high-protein diet, you create many toxic byproducts that the body needs to eliminate as quickly as possible. How many of you have a dog or have ever had a dog? Raise your hand. Okay, so you feed your dog, an hour or two later you take it for a walk, and what happens? There goes the dinner. Okay? In a well-functioning, in the average human body, 96 hours from entrance to exit. Now that's not healthy, that's typical. Because people, unlike every other species in nature, people eat all kinds of things that don't belong in the body, right? Healthy human body, 8 to 12 hours from entrance to exit. 8 to 12 hours. A carnivore, it's an hour or two. People eating a meat-based diet aren't eliminating very often. Which means what? It means they're absorbing everything? No. It means there's nasty, toxic stuff building up in their digestive tracts. You know the stuff you guys are now hydrating and some of you are now eliminating? That's what's building up in their systems. Is this a good thing? Of course not. Of course not. I mean, they're completely ignoring the facts, right? Carnivores cannot afford to telegraph to their prey where they are. Okay, a tiger, a lion, a bear, they need to sneak up on their prey. Right, they want to catch them by surprise as close as possible so they have the best chance of catching them. They can't afford to have their prey smells like a bear. Let's go away, right? So carnivores don't sweat. They pant. They cool down by panting like a dog or a cat. It's not a very efficient way to cool down, but they do this because they can't afford to have their prey know where they are. We don't pant, we sweat. Okay? People who eat animal products tend to stink. Except they'll stop stinking soon because they'll stop detoxifying when they become so toxic, until they fast. Take one of these meat eaters and have them fast, and no one here is going to be able to be in the room with them. They're going to smell so bad. That's what happens. Okay? Carnivores have fangs. They have teeth that allows them to bite through the leather skin of an animal. If you have leather shoes, okay, that was the hide of an animal. Can you bite through that? I don't think so. Your canine teeth, I mean, you want to try a quick experiment? Take your finger, stick it under your canine tooth and bite down as hard as you like. Okay, I'll give you $20 if you draw blood. It's not going to happen. One of those little kittens nips your finger, you're going to see blood. Okay, their teeth are designed to rip through flesh. Your teeth are designed to rip through the flesh of an apple or a pear, not through the skin of an animal. Okay, does this make sense? Your digestive tract, some of you, most of us here are probably, well, I guess if we include everybody, we range from being maybe 20% to 50% the size of this 500-pound tiger, right? Most people here are anywhere between 100 and 250 pounds, and yet your digestive tract is nearly 3 times longer. Why is that? That's because we're intended to consume things that create no toxic waste. So it can take 6 times longer to move through your system without harming you. No problem. Okay? How do you get stuff through this 32-foot long digestive tract? Easy. Make sure it contains ample water and ample fiber. Anyone remind me, how much fiber does meat have? Oh yeah, 0. Okay, that's why the animals that eat it have short, smooth, straight digestive tracts. They don't have to go through all these torturous turns. Remember, from the bottom of my stomach to the ileocecal valve where my large intestine starts, that's the length of the small intestine. On my relatively long torso, that's what, about 12 inches, 30 centimeters? In that space, there's like 7 meters of small intestine, 6+ meters of small intestine in that space. It's all twists and turns, okay? That they don't have that because they would never eliminate if they did. You know, a study published in 2013 showed very conclusively. Anyone familiar with telomeres? What's a telomere? It's a little tail on the DNA. And that little tail, when we are little babies, that tail is long. And as we age, it gets shorter and shorter. And as you overexercise, it gets shorter. And as you don't get enough sleep, it gets shorter. And as you eat excess protein, it gets shorter. Our protein needs are tiny, tiny. So, you know, again, on a typical day, these days, the last week, I think I've had a salad every night. So I'm getting all my protein from a watermelon or from 10 or 12 little bananas, which I had yesterday for lunch, and then a salad at night. Fair, you know, about a head of lettuce, a tomato or two, a couple of cucumbers, an avocado, and I'm getting all the protein I need to stay strong and fit. We don't need tons of protein, and if we eat tons of protein, we age and die faster. This is really clear. Like, the science is clear about this. So you want to understand, I mean, it's no different. People say, I drink a cup of coffee, I feel energetic. Must be good for me then. No, it's a stimulant, which is abusing your adrenal glands. All stimulants do that. Okay, excess protein is a stimulant. Okay? I mean, again, these are people who often, I don't know if they're lazy, unwilling to think, or unable to think. But they are missing some very simple points here. We share nothing in common with the body of a carnivore. Okay? Gout. What's gout? Anyone know? Buildup of uric acid in the body. Uric acid comes from other places from protein consumption, protein metabolism. Carnivores, because they consume a high protein diet, make an enzyme called uricase. Guess which species among others doesn't make uricase? We have no way to process this stuff, okay? I mean, it's absurd to imagine that we should be eating a meat-based diet. But, you know, it's literally no different than going, man, I took this heroin yesterday, I felt amazing, this stuff must be good for me, because I feel incredible. It's no different. We have to look beyond the short-term effect of the diet and try to understand what's actually happening. And science is really clear about this. It's really, really clear. Honestly, the China study, T. Colin Campbell, Caldwell Esselstyn, published, 20 years ago now? Very clear. You add small amounts of animal protein to your diet, you dramatically increase rates of disease.
It might appear that another reason that there's this huge trend toward the carnivore diet is that, you know, obviously vegetables, particularly legumes and grains, do contain plant toxins, and today with so many people compromising their guts with antibiotics and things, they have all kinds of, they respond to the plant toxins really strongly, so they're chronically inflamed in all its tissues, and so it's kind of an elimination diet. As soon as they take those out, they stop.
Absolutely.
Symptoms that
Yes, absolutely. Many people feel better because they're eliminating a lot of things that were harming them. Okay? But again, I mean, our systems are virtually identical. They're not quite identical to the chimpanzees and bonobos because their large intestine is proportionally longer than ours relative to their system. Why? Because they're in a situation where sometimes they have to eat higher fiber content food. and their longer large intestine allows them to do a better job of breaking that stuff down and getting the nutrients from them. We don't need to eat that stuff. We don't need to eat anything that we can't easily digest. So we don't, most of us, I mean, some of us don't. We don't need to have that longer large intestine. When we do eat those things, we wind up with problems because of that, okay? So, what's really, really clear is not just that we shouldn't be eating animals. That's the first piece. But, a lot of people become vegan or vegetarians, and even there, the science is clear that even though people have trouble with grains and with legumes and with all these things, I mean, they contain a lot of valuable nutrients. They also contain some anti-nutrients. And vegans live longer than people who aren't vegans, and they have lower rates of disease. Science is clear about this, even though a typical vegan diet's not that healthy, not compared to what our bodies are actually intended for. You take any species and give it cooked food, it gets sicker. Take a milk from a cow, pasteurize it, which is a cooking process to kill bacteria, and feed it to the calf that it was originally intended for, and the calf won't do very well. Okay, cooking destroys nutrients and creates toxins. So what's clear is we should be eating raw food, but not just any raw food, because raw vegetables are very difficult for our bodies to digest and usually contain anti-nutrients. Why do they contain anti-nutrients? And why is it so surprising to people? It's amazing how many people argue with me when I say we shouldn't eat broccoli, whatever it is. Because we've all been led to believe these things are really good for us. Forget about how densely with nutrients something is. That doesn't matter. As I said yesterday, it's not about what goes in the durian hole, it's about what gets to the cells. We eat things that contain nutrients, tons of nutrients, but we can't digest it. How does it help us? It doesn't. We want to focus on consuming those things that our bodies, our digestive systems, are actually set up for. What is that? Fruit, soft, tender leaves. Okay, not cabbage, not kale, not collard greens. Okay, simple rule of thumb, if you could take a leafy green, make a pair of shoes out of it, don't eat it. Okay, these dense leaves, they're dense because they contain cellulose and complex carbohydrates that our bodies don't digest very well. You can cook them to break it down, and then you destroy nutrients and create toxins. Okay, we create toxins by cooking them. So why would we eat that stuff? I mean, why would we do that when everything we need is available from eating fruit and leafy greens? Soft, tender leafy greens. That's all we need. Okay, this is what works. It works really, really well for everyone. In fact, and there are people out there who say, well, I tried raw vegan, didn't work for me, right? What usually happens is they feel amazing at first, 4 to 6 weeks, sometimes even for months or longer, and then what happens? They begin to feel bad. In some cases, they might actually be creating deficiencies, right? We talked yesterday about B12. What if they're dehydrated, like almost everybody is? They might not be getting enough B12, okay? They might wind up with other issues as well. But it's not because there's a problem with the diet. It's because there's a problem with the body. What we need to do is put the body in a situation where it can easily get everything it needs because it's working as well as possible. And this is what happens when the body's clean and hydrated. Remember, our digestive systems are virtually identical to our closest primate relatives who eat almost exclusively fruit and soft, tender leaves. They eat a few insects. You can if you want to. They eat meat 2 or 3 times a year. If you're going to eat meat 2 or 3 times a year, it'd be a hell of a lot better than 2 or 3 times a day, the way most people do it. Okay, the less is more in this case. But we don't need it at all. Okay? So, remember, it's not about nutrient density. We don't need more protein. We don't benefit from more protein. Okay, the nutrients in the animal products, all the vitamins and minerals are coming from where? When people eat meat and they're getting all these nutrients, where are those nutrients actually coming from?
Plants.
From the plants that the animals ate. Why don't we just eat the plants? Skip the middleman. Okay, it's a lot more efficient that way. Hi, enjoying my videos? If you'd like to learn much more, check out the Academy for Vibrant Living, where our Vibrant Health course will teach you everything you need to know to take your health to an amazing new level. And if you'd like to turn your passion for health into a lucrative career, check out the Health Coaching course, where you can become a professional, certified health coach and help as many people as possible see amazing results.